Now, this evening, I'm fortunate enough to be interviewing Neil Adams, Bachelor of Arts. Oh, sorry about that. Master of Arts, CPFA qualified, also executive member of the University Real Ale Society, of course, and this next one, completer of Streets of Rage 2 with the guy with the rollerblades, FM broadcast radio DJ. Oh, and to add to that, half marathon conqueror. This is Neil Adams.
Oh, thank you. You seem to have done your research on me very well. But just to make it clear, I'm both a Bachelor of Arts and a Master of Arts.
Oh, sorry, correction there. Yep.
Yeah, well, you're right. I've completed the Christchurch Half Marathon this past Sunday. I did it in a time of 1 hour 54 minutes, which wasn't quite as quick as I was hoping, but overall I'm quite pleased with. Until today, I found out the record for a half marathon running backwards is 1 hour 39 minutes. So someone running backwards has run that distance quicker than me by 16 minutes. But the race went quite well. Halfway through I was following a guy who was going a decent pace, who was wearing a shirt similar to the cricket shirt that England wore in the 1991, I think it was, World Cup final, so I liked sticking with him. I thought he was going quite a rapid pace, but it turned out he was actually doing a marathon, so he went left and I went right, at which point I was lucky to find another pace setter who I nicknamed Wilf on the account that he was a 70-year-old man. He was ahead of me until the last kilometre when I managed to take him over, so I was pleased with that.
Fantastic. Sounds like you had quite a day there, and also your trivia on backwards running seems to be very knowledgeable there.
Well, you never know when it's going to come up in a pub quiz.
Exactly. Always good to be prepared.
Always good to be prepared, like a scout.
Exactly. So on that race, so generally, how did you find the race went? And in terms of your game plan, do you think you could stick to that?
Yes, my game plan was to start slowly and get quicker in the last 5 kilometres, and the start of that went superbly. I went very slowly, but then in the last 5 kilometres, unfortunately, I couldn't go any faster, which is why I was a little bit slower than I'd hoped, but hey-ho, you can only do what your body makes you do.
Well, exactly. I mean, you can't. You've got to have a game plan. Also, every kilometre is not going to be the same as the previous one. So
I'm only human, despite I'm not.
I heard that's yeah, exactly. But in terms of that, did you find that you had any handicaps at all in your performance overall?
Yeah, well, the big problem I had going in was I was carrying a lot more hair than I hoped.
Yeah.
I'm booked in for a haircut this Saturday, but I really would have ideally liked it to have come earlier, so that really, I think, probably added another 10 minutes possibly to the time, I'd say, give or take.
I mean,
it's lovely hair.
Fairly generous, but I mean, I guess you've got to factor that in. You can't ignore that fact.
This thick, luscious mane, it's a blessing and it's a curse.
Yeah, you got to balance that out. But I noticed so far you've really only been speaking about your about yourself and obviously about the race. But in terms of you haven't mentioned the fundraising yet. How do you feel about that plan?
Obviously, that was why I did it, not for self-aggrandisement or to tick off having run a half marathon. It was for the fundraising element, and I would genuinely like to say I've been really thankful for everyone who's given an amazing amount of money and also lots of humorous messages on my Just Giving page. In particular, I'd like to give a shout out to Robbie, who sponsored me rather than spending money on a DVD entitled Game of Throats, which I'm not sure what website he was ordering that from. Also to Henry as well, who I trained for his half marathon with him, so this is the second member of Bruce's sprint team doing it for us. So and a massive thanks to everyone that's given money, and you can still give if you feel so inclined.
Good stuff, brilliant. Well, obviously it's a challenge you've undertaken and completed, which is obviously an accomplishment. But in terms of the fact that you finished that now, how do you feel about any upcoming challenges or upcoming activities? Anything planned coming up, or next challenge maybe?
The next challenge I think I'll be doing is one I've talked about for a long time, which I'm possibly going to do this Saturday night. I'm feeling my confidence is up, which is
next challenge. Yeah.
undertaking what I regard as the greatest karaoke duet song going, Under Pressure by David Bowie and Freddie Mercury. And this Saturday night I may attempt it if I can find a willing partner.
Well, it could be interesting one. I wonder who you will pick.
Well, I think perhaps someone I might pick might be the person who's interviewed me, who, for my friends who like football, I think looks just like Owen Hargreaves. No? Owen Hargreaves? No.
Well,
it's uncanny.
Apparently so.
He just needs to run on a treadmill and
I am also injured at the moment, so there's the injured foot. Yeah, maybe that should be the next challenge.
But I'd like to thank you very much for doing this interview, Owen, and if anyone would like to donate, feel free.
And that's a thumbs up from me.